William Shakespeare is known for writing many different styles of plays.
He did tragedy, he did comedy. He did tragedy mixed with comedy.
But he never did science fiction.
From the mind of Rob Lloyd and the pen of Keith Gow comes a play that aims to fix that. Shakespeare Aliens. It's James Cameron's Aliens, live on stage in the style of William Shakespeare.
After a hit run of shows during the start of the year, we're back this October for the Melbourne Fringe Festival. Join us for an hour of action, tension and puppetry as our cast of characters try to escape the horrors of LV-426. Shakespeare Aliens at the Melbourne Fringe Festival. That's October 11th to October 15th, 9 p.m. at Gasworks Theatre. Head to melbournefringe.com.au for more, or check out the link in the episode description.
This podcast is brought to you by our partners at 8 Star Energy.
8 Star Energy, a clean energy company leading the future of portable and renewable energy.
To find out more, follow them on Facebook at 8 Star Energy.
I want attacking purposeful football all the time. Now we're going to have backs against the wall and we're going to fight, and we're going to fight hard. You've got to show me all the guts and all the determination you've got in your body. You've got to inspire me.
A marvellous kick. That's as good as you'll ever see. And puts player back in front.
I don't know about you guys, but if I see one bloke walking out of here, give the pat on the back from people out there for a good effort, I'll spew up.
From inside the centre square. Boys kick the goal. Boys kick the goal. From inside the centre. I can't believe that.
Hey Pack, welcome to Danny Boyd, a podcast about the undisputed 100% greatest football team in the universe. How do I know that? We are top of the ladder. We are undefeated. We have never had a season this good. I'm so excited. I'm Danny McGinlay. He's Tom Boyd. Boydie, grand final week. How many radio producers ring you up to talk about a certain goal kicked 6 years ago?
No, they don't call me about it anymore. I saw in the grand final red carpet they were talking to players going, one of the segments was finish this piece of commentary, and the Brian Taylor commentary came up. But
yes.
No royalties for me on that one, unfortunately. I must say, it feels like September in Melbourne today. Yeah. The weather's good. It's a bit balmy. You're in shorts and a T-shirt. I'm feigning corporate sort of superiority by actually wearing jeans and some boots. But how good is it to have the grand final back in Melbourne, mate? After 3 long years between drinks, it's a great time of year to be a Melburnian.
I'd be more excited if I was going, but couldn't. No. I was complaining to you before. I'm not as many corporate gigs this year for me. It's not too late if you want to book me for for Saturday. I'm available some days, but yeah, no, it's exciting. It's sunny. I've forgotten how this time of year works.
Yeah,
and to be honest, I don't really care about men's footy at the moment. What a pointless exercise. I mean,
at least for the next 4 days.
For the next 4. Well, no, on Friday. Friday, I'll acknowledge that there's a parade for some reason. But congratulations to Geelong and Sydney AFLW men's sides for giving it a go.
Yeah, it is strange. And Danny, you did make a massive push to me to get this as early as possible in the week in the hope that people do book you for a couple extra gigs. So glad we can make that work, mate.
Those crippling gambling debts aren't going away. But hey, we've got a guest who came so highly recommended to us. We had Kate O'Halloran in a few weeks ago to do an AFLW preview, and we've asked a lot of our friends at the club, and we asked Nathan Burke, who are the AFLW players we have to get on. Kate didn't even miss a beat. She just said, we got to get Nell Morris-Dalton on. Nell Morris-Dalton, welcome to Danny Boyd.
Thank you very much.
How are you feeling? You were almost. Is this an exclusive? Can we tell the audience?
Yeah, go for it.
There was almost a late withdrawal. It's an exclusive. Let's see if this ends up in the Herald Sun. See if they listen to our podcast. Woke up with a puffy eye.
Yes, that did happen.
I can't actually tell which one it is. You look fine.
Really?
Yeah.
They both look bad is what he's saying.
Yeah, I think so.
That's the kind of guy Danny is. All right? I wouldn't say that, but Danny would.
Yeah, just leave it.
But you feeling all right? It's all good?
Feeling good, yeah.
Well, you played your first game of the year last week? No.
Incorrect.
I'm so sorry.
I played round 1, got dropped for 2 rounds, came back in the side.
I'm so sorry. I didn't watch round one. I was on a delayed flight from ironically Sydney when you were playing the Giants. Right. So well, I thought you did. I thought it was hard to see anyone doing very well on Saturday, given the conditions. For those who may have missed it, we played Hawthorn in a flood, pretty much.
Yeah.
Most of Victoria seemed to be underwater last weekend. It was quite extraordinary. Like, obviously it rained quite a lot, but the damage it did to the grounds was extraordinary. You know, even the G looked a bit average there for a second, so hopefully it cleans up this week. How did you find it out there on the weekend?
Yeah, I usually don't enjoy playing in wet weather footy, but...
Oh, good. Me neither.
Yeah, I just kind of psyched myself out, but it actually ended up being pretty fun by the point you were like torrentially soaked, and then it wasn't too cold or windy, so it actually kind of made up for it with that. And we got a few goals, which was fun because it can go pretty pear-shaped when nothing's really happening.
Yes.
And it's just on the ground over. It's like, oh, my God. But it actually ended up pretty good.
Yeah, quarter time, the scores were 0-0. So it was, why did we even bother with that?
Yeah, no.
But it was like, and playing at Box Hill, I mean, that's not Hawthorn's first home game there, is it? I'm showing my...
I don't think so. Personally, don't rate the ground and that we have to play on it. But it actually ended up being better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, fair enough.
That middle pitch can get pretty exotic in
the
there.
grass was about like 5 centimetres long. It was like they could have got the lawnmower out all week, but they just left it. It was seriously
and then
this
the rain
long.
hit, yeah. I played all my juniors there, so Eastern Rangers played a lot of footy there, and I like to make the joke that everyone used to come off the ground covered in mud, and I said if you could see my GPS, it would look very much like someone running towards the centre of the ground, taking either a sharp left or a sharp right to avoid the turf wicket.
I did that.
Because once your feet get stuck in that mud, you end up slipping. You can't kick as well. It's just a nightmare. You might as well stay clean. I've got white boots, for God's sake, Danny, I'm
amazed that these conditions still happen. Would someone like Bontempelli even know what a ground like this is like?
He would, yeah. He played all his juniors in, against us.
But that was like a decade ago.
Well, so I'm sure he can remember 10 years ago.
Well, a concussion isn't.
But in all honesty, I mean, I think the only ground that's left with a drop in is probably like Monica, right? Like, I think Canberra still has a drop in pitch that's there sometimes. It's really hard in the middle of the ground. I think if you think back to like the ball getting bounced at the centre, bounces and it goes like 50 metres in the air, that's usually a drop in turf wicket.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know if there's that many grounds left, but certainly not the most enjoyable. You would play on a few at the moment, I'd say, that have those sub-district cricket grounds or district cricket grounds, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think there's a few, but we are transitioning more towards better grounds, which is good.
Yeah.
A few, but not as many this season. I feel like, it's been all right.
Where are you training at the moment?
Skinner Reserve. It's like in Braybrook. It's like 5 minutes from Whitten Oval.
Yep.
They redeveloped it, like knowing that they were going to knock Whitten down. So it's actually got a pretty good track.
Yes.
Which is going well. Yeah, it's good.
Is that the one with the statue of Doug Hawkins?
No, there's no statue.
That's outside a pub. Sorry, but it's where Doug Hawkins played juniors at Braybrook. Was it where Braybrook Football Club is?
I think it was originally a soccer oval and they've updone it.
I think that might be right. That's what I heard. The men will be training there, as I think the Whitten Oval is not going to be ready till just before end of pre-season next year. Yeah. And I drove past it. I mean, I don't know if you've been out west recently, but there's not a lot left of our training facility. And look, there wasn't a lot there. We've never been one to brag about how good our training facilities are, but there's really nothing left now.
There is nothing, yeah.
So, and does Braybrook have facilities and stuff, or is it just rocking up in an oval, like proper old school?
You just have like your local footy kind of locker room.
Yeah.
And then there's like a community centre there with a library, so we kind of use those facilities for like our team meetings, and then we train. Once we're done, we'll just go straight back to the club to do our gym and eat dinner there.
Okay. That must be annoying though. You're trying to do a team meeting and a lady with a bun and some glasses keeps coming in. Shh.
Must be difficult training in a library, I agree, especially with how rowdy footballers can get.
Yeah. I can't imagine Ellie Blackburn's particularly good at keeping stum.
No, not at all.
When did you get drafted, Nell?
2019, I think.
So your first season was the one they interrupted?
Yeah, I round 6 they called it off.
Yeah. Right.
That was my first year. I think it was 2019, yeah.
Early 2020, but that was 19 to 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did you, when it was over the course of 2 years, hang on, how did they do this? No, it always started early in the year. No, 2020 it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who can remember how time works?
So you've been there for a couple of years now. Have you found that, the training facility change is a bit disruptive at times? Because I know again, in my time at the Dogs, I was very precious. I was surely not like driving back and forth. Actually, that's what we had to do at the Giants, and I did find it like a bit of a mess because everyone's like kind of trying to get taped and ready at the Oval. No, not at the Oval now, and then going, I'll jump in the car, beat all of 5 or 6 minutes. It's still a bit of a pain. Has it sort of been disruptive for you and the team, or has it been okay so far?
It has actually. I thought it'd be worse than what it was because I'm personally someone who I feel like conditions really get internal and contributes to how I play and train, which is kind of stupid, but it has actually been way better than I thought. It's almost nice to have a kind of break up between training and getting to the gym to kind of regroup. But it is a bit more disruptive now just because all the zones are getting cut off and the walkways from one end to the club are all knocked down and it's just all over the shop. And I think it's just going to keep getting worse. I think they're putting our gym in Barker's Cafe.
Oh,
so
wow.
I don't even know, I don't really know what turn it's going to take next, but I think it's there's also something quite nice and satisfying about as a team having something like that happen and not letting it kind of interfere with your games and still doing really well. I think that's kind of a good testament to the team.
Well, we're 4-0, so I'd say I think you're training in Barker's forevermore.
Yeah,
until
I think
until this streak ends.
Yeah,
you got to be doing it. So what has happened this year? That, we were good the last couple of seasons, but, just fallen short of finals, always were building. What has made the team turn the corner and really, I've looked at our fixture and I'm getting well ahead of myself here. I'm looking and going, I can
He's
see
looking
us.
to a three-peat.
I am. I'm seeing dynasty everywhere. I'm seeing. I can see us dropping, and I'm being very generous to the opposition here. I'm seeing us drop maybe 2 games. Is that? Are you looking we got a good fixture, admittedly.
We did, yeah.
But that's so I can't. Who are you scared of? You can't be scared of any of these teams right now.
Brisbane, that's about all. Just quietly.
You'll smash them.
Just quietly on a podcast.
Yeah. Got it. Oh, no, it's all right. But yeah, there was obviously a lot of we had a big turnaround of staff at the end of last year, built off players' feedback, and that Berkey and all the higher admins did a really good job of taking that on board, and we've just kind of brought in a new program, and just obviously the bigger hours and more money means that we have more time commitment there, but they just stepped everything up from conditioning. We went from doing 6K sessions to 12 most trainings, and they just stepped every level up, and I think this had just such a big impact on everyone. And Berkey brought in a whole new game style. He's a footy nuffy, and he even
yes, he is.
before the game on the weekend he's I was up at 3 a.m. and had this idea, and then he wrote on he just loves it, breathes it. So I think having someone like him kind of pull everything apart and bring in new game styles also had a big impact on everyone.
What has the time commitment change been like this year? Has it been a significant increase? Because I think one of the things that really interested us, and we had a long chat with Berkey about this, my perspective is that VFL players and the AFLW players have literally got the hardest road to success because they are training on top of doing normal jobs. Their expectation of their peak fitness is you've got to be able to play with the best all the time, and you have absolutely zero time to really spend at the footy club. Has there been a big change? And secondarily, do you think that's really been a bonus given that we're quite a young side at the moment and it's helped us gel and get sort of on the same page?
Yeah, definitely. The increase has been massive. Just probably an extra day at the club in terms of hours. They added, obviously last year we were there a lot, but we weren't getting paid for about half our hours when we added it up. So then the AFL decided that they'd pay us for all the hours we're there, which is really great. Obviously should have been done from the start. But yeah, so there's been a big increase in the hours, probably an extra training night and longer, more intense training and a bit longer while you're there and more kind of commitment outside of it. I think for the young girls it's been really good because it means they don't have to kind of work outside of the AFLW. So that's been a really great thing for them. Obviously means they can take it more seriously and just kind of just do footy, which has such great effects on the field, off the field, and for team bonding. But I've found I think it's that really awkward bridging gap, as an older player, working outside of footy and then trying to balance that. It's mental. So it has had disadvantages at the same time, for the girls, and me who's working outside of it, because I'm just I was working 3 16-hour days a week on my feet. Yeah. And it's just ridiculous. Yeah.
How old are you that you're saying you're
21?
21 is one of the older players.
I was about to
say. I'm still young, but considering obviously now that we get paid more, there's less people working outside of it.
Yeah.
And they're I kind of have fallen into that category a bit early, not for long, but just for this season.
There's actually a bit of confusion with our listener mail. A few people asking about your outside job. It's down to 2. There was a bit of debate on Facebook. Are you a nurse or a kindergarten teacher?
A nurse.
You're a nurse. See,
Yeah.
all right. That's cool.
I don't know where that one came from. I'm not sure.
Easy profession, which is good. So.
Yeah, very easy.
Which hospital are you at?
Royal Melbourne.
Royal Melbourne. So if I accidentally break my leg, I'm going to the Royal Melbourne just so I can meet an MD.
Could happen, yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
Which part of the hospital are you working?
I've just finished my rotation on the Gen Med ward, and then now I'm starting in the trauma section of the hospital.
Oh, so I've got to really mess
which
up
should be
my
really
leg.
interesting. Yeah, really butcher it.
Yeah.
Because they are the trauma capital of Victoria. I think Australia too. So it'll be pretty interesting to kind of get into the more surgical side of it and see a bit more. Like Gen Med's interesting. It's a lot of older people, which is great. But I'm kind of excited to work with a younger demographic.
So what are the when you mentioned that the younger girls, which is kind of hilarious given that you're 21.
I am still
You've just
younger,
become an adult in the US.
Yeah.
So given that, what are they doing outside? Are they studying or are they just pottering through life? Because it doesn't feel like that there's footy enough in the schedule at the moment to be like, this is what I do 24/7, 365, because clearly there's restrictions around time at the footy club. What is the sort of general consensus with the younger team at the moment?
Yeah, it varies a bit. So there's like a lot of them study outside of it, doing their uni, but they don't really work other jobs. Some do, but I think it kind of depends on the person. Like some people are just trying to kind of, a few of my friends just embrace like just being an athlete, because at the end of the day, everyone loves it and they want to just be able to indulge in that life. So a lot of them, quite a few of the girls in my team are just kind of just coming to footy and like having their days nice and free, which is such a nice lifestyle. And then a lot of them are studying and a few work outside of it. It just kind of like varies, but footy is like their main priority for most of them. Yeah.
How do you? I know you mentioned the 3 16-hour days, so not so much in terms of balancing it from a timing point of view, because it sounds like you have an incredibly hectic schedule. But from your like thought process around you clearly, for at least from a very initial stage, it sounds like you love what you do in terms of working as a nurse.
Yeah.
Sounds like you love playing footy. How do you think about trying to balance out your career pathway and sticking with footy long term, or where's your sort of head at in terms of that long term?
Yeah, it's super difficult. Obviously, I came into the competition like looking at the older girls thinking like, oh, thank God I don't have to make any decisions like that anytime soon. And it just kind of came about way quicker than I thought. Obviously, I finished my studies last year, and with nursing, you have to do a grad year.
Yep.
So I kind of was like, I may as well get it done now and get my registration, then I'll have it forever. That was kind of my reasoning behind like doing the grad year. And then obviously the season got moved without any warning, and that kind of just threw everything out.
Sounds like the AFL.
Yeah. So that was like, it was like this rumor at training. I was like, what? And then like 2 weeks later, it was like confirmed. And I was like, oh my God. I kind of structured my whole year and life around this season being over summer, and then it all got changed, and that threw me out. But in terms of juggling, I think obviously I'm just kind of had the mindset that I'll smash it out this year, like do both. And then moving forward, obviously nursing's a great and flexible job in terms of hours you can work and how much you work. So I'll probably just prioritize footy and minimize my nursing during the week and just kind of do that while I'm young. And I think I can nurse forever, but you can't be a good athlete when you're older.
I think it's a very interesting point, because there are specific careers which probably are more amenable to fitting in with footy than there are other ones. And like we had the conversation with Kate, which is like there's going to be this really interesting stage where you're describing the younger girls who probably don't have to work whilst they're studying, whilst they're playing, because there's enough money in the game now compared to the last few years. But if you're trying to live a full-time life and you've got a mortgage or you've got a family or something like that, there's clearly not enough money just to do all of that. And I think when we get to the point where it's like there's genuinely enough money where you have to choose between basically putting your career on the back burner fully or going, basically the other direction. I think it's a very interesting problem that's coming up ahead for the girls at the moment.
Yeah, it is. It's like, and I think it's just like one of those other things that goes unnoticed about like the inequality of the game is like these, like I'm literally 21 trying to make career decisions. It's kind of like when most people, obviously men's athletes, they know what they're doing. They're playing sport for now. Obviously they can think about their career moving forward. And then people who aren't being athletes, they can just focus solely on their other profession. But there's like so much added pressure to try to like work out if you're going to like lose money or like profile in your other career just to pursue footy because you love it, or you like we've seen many people step away from the game for their other careers, which is like obviously just a hard thing to make and an added pressure of like being a female athlete, definitely.
Yeah, and if you try and do both and it's too hard, then you fall behind from a quality point of view. I mean, it is it's a really difficult time for sure.
Since you have a medical background, one of my favourite sights that I see on an AFLW ground is when, because a high proportion of the players are physios, and when you see a player get injured, be it an opponent or a teammate, and like the doctor gets shoved out of the way and a teammate treats them. Have you done that?
Yeah.
And how do you resist not doing it if you haven't?
I've done this like multiple times against my opposition. I'll like hurt them, like bump them over, and I'm like far out, shit. And then I'm like with them, like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, what do you need? And then my teammates are like, come on, let's go. And I'm just like really caught up in like the moment of hurting someone.
Has that violated your Hippocratic oath? Do nurses do the Hippocratic oath?
No, don't do it.
Oh, what about is
right.
she just bumps someone into oblivion, and then she runs over. Okay, I'm going to put you in the recovery position.
Yeah, I just
We just need to elevate your tibia.
I get carried away, and then that's happened with my teammates too. I'm like so caught up in making sure they're okay, and the game's like not stopping. And then I end up getting yelled at by my teammate and move on. But it's just sad, and then I'll always come back like I'm so sorry. But,
AFLW does seem to be a lot more. There's a lot more apologising.
Yeah, definitely. It depends on the opponent. I think now that the obviously the new teams have come in, it's kind of like it's interestingly transitioning from like what was a really tight knit community, which stemmed from the older women who originally played together. I think that'll phase out, and we'll see like a whole new kind of like stage of the competition, which will be really interesting.
Have we built a rivalry with any team yet that hasn't probably got the media attention that it should have?
Oh, I think Nathan Burke kind of tries to stem a few rivalries from his days playing. And, like, people,
that's right.
Clubs he didn't like.
He said he hates the Crows.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
And Collingwood, he really does not like Collingwood. I think he kind of drives a few of them. But playing Collingwood, I think we all hate, and we've lost them like so many
every
years in a
time.
row.
I'm always there at Vic Park,
and we hate playing there. And it's just like the fans. Oh, there's nothing like them. They're pretty nasty.
Yeah, Collingwood fans are a very specific group of people.
Oh my God. Did I tell you I don't know if I said this on the pod, but when the men beat the Magpies earlier this year, towards the end of the game, I went and sat down towards the wing in a reserved area. But, a lot of them had left. So me and my mate just went down there and yelled. And a few of the Collingwood players were like, you're not supposed to be here. I'm like, yeah, look, there's 5 minutes to go, whatever. And then there was a decision that I didn't agree with, and I vocalised that. And I said,
doesn't sound like you.
All I said was, that's not an effing mark. And they all have some decorum. How dare you? What, you are so ungracious. And I'm going, you're Collingwood fans. What is, have you met your club?
Everyone's got decorum when they're losing, I find. Who did you follow growing up now?
Oh, North Melbourne, pretty loosely. But I did North, like we were split with, I have three brothers and we were like split in half there. But I feel like they were pretty easy to disengage with when I got drafted.
I was about to say
they have not done anything.
Yeah, you have invested in the correct team, I think, to upgrade.
So.
Well, I mean, there were 17 others that you could have picked to upgrade from North Melbourne.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. And I think, looking back on it now, I just like don't really no, I don't even really have a soft spot. To be honest, I don't follow men's footy that much anymore. But
it's just a gimmick. Yeah, no one likes it.
I don't really follow North Melbourne at all anymore, sadly.
Speaking of the gimmick of men's footy, how excited Punt Road this Friday?
Yep.
How excited are you to play with, all of the hoorah of the grand final and the parade and everything happening all around it? I feel like that's got to be one of the biggest stages we've had in recent times, particularly with Melbourne being shut down for the last couple of years. Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm keen. I actually hadn't really thought about speaking to my friend Katie Lynch at the club last night. She was like, I'm so keen for this weekend. And I was like, oh, why? And she was like, apparently it's going to be a sellout. I was like, I don't really thought about it or processed it, but I think it should be really fun. I think we're like missing Whitten games quite a lot. We definitely always got the best turnout there, and they were just such a nice time. And there hasn't really been many ovals that can kind of step up to that platform. So it'll be good to see what Punt Road can do.
I'm very excited. Just as a historical. I know, I never saw a men's game there. I'm too young for that, but it's going to be epic.
Yeah, and I think like of all of the places in Melbourne, like Richmond and the G and Punt Road obviously being directly in between those two around grand final day, they just get this buzz about it. It's always so exciting to
and
me.
they put on that kids festival now,
Yeah.
which my kids love. And
and again, we've missed it for the last couple of years, and what a great way to celebrate. That part of Melbourne being alive with a massive AFLW clash at Punt Road. There hasn't been that many games played there for a long time, right?
Oh no, Richmond have been playing there.
Richmond do play there, okay.
But who cares?
The VFL have played there, but I don't think there has been like a game as big as this. Probably.
All I do is I drive past. I eyeball Monique Conti and Katie Brennan. Boo, traitors!
I usually go past and I look for the redhead Nick Vlosten, and I just make sure he's missing a few kicks so I can give him some feedback on it later.
So where did you grow up, Nell?
Oh, just in Northcote. So
That's where I grew up. Holy crap.
No way.
Yeah. What school did you go to?
Fairfield.
Fairfield Primary.
Yeah.
Sweet. I was at Wales Street. Which high school did you go to?
Northcote High.
All right, we're ending the interview. As a Thornbury High guy, just letting you know that you are my rival now, and I'd like you to leave. Did you hate Thornbury High back
I just
then?
didn't have much going for them.
No, we do. Yeah, we're pretty rubbish.
I just hate them. They were just terrible.
When I was there, we were both terrible, but
really?
you've got good.
Yeah, we
You
stepped
traitors.
up. Yeah.
Danny, you're also trying to resonate with a 21-year-old about school. It might have been slightly different a generation later.
Yeah, I think we changed a bit.
Actually, yeah, by the time you were born, I'd been out of school 3 years. So, oh, that's exciting. So where did you play juniors?
I played at Fitzroy.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yep.
That's a good area.
I know your few years has been a little bit interrupted, but what has it been like going to Footscray and to play for the Western Bulldogs? I mean, I don't know if you've seen the rest of the clubs in the league, but there's not really a club that is as deeply entrenched in a suburb as Footscray is. And to your point around Whitten Oval obviously being just the most fans that would turn up, that's because they all live out there still.
Yeah.
What's that sort of experience being like, sort of at obviously a professional football club, but still with that sort of feeling? I've always felt like there was a connection deeply to the suburb. What's that experience been like for you?
Yeah, I've loved it. I think obviously before you get drafted, you don't really know where you're going to go. You have a bit of an idea. And I actually thought I was going to Richmond. And I was like keen as, and then thank God Nathan took me the pick before. And yeah, I've just loved it. I think, especially coming from a club like Fitzroy, and just like I've always enjoyed being part of a community. I think like having that at an AFL level club is like so special, and I think it just kind of like shows throughout everything, like the support that we get, and also just like programs that the club run. I think it's really epic, and I don't think there's any other club that does it. And I think for me anyway, it's definitely something that goes a long way, and I enjoy being part of a club that's like that. Yeah,
it is pretty special, and again, it's even more special. The girls have obviously had a lot of success since their time, but there's nothing better than winning out in the West and then going to celebrate with all those fans. They're just they're a special bunch out there, Danny.
And I think we can all agree Northcote is pretty much Footscray. So the Footscray of the north.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Northcote's west of somewhere.
I think Northcote's Yarraville.
It so is. Yeah. Like
gentrification.
Even you would have grown up with it as a very different place to me. Like how many cars did you steal?
Yeah, plenty, yeah.
Yeah, okay, sweet. So at least you're old school.
Yeah.
All right, we'll chat off air about did your parents grow up around Northcote?
No, they didn't. Mum's actually from New South Wales and Dad was like out in Eltham.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I still might know him. The northern suburbs
maybe.
is pretty small.
Yeah.
Everything. So, all right, let's go to listener mail. We did have a lot of excitement that you were on. First of all, because my internet's always a bit rubbish, I'm just going to ask a nursing question.
Yeah.
What's your favourite disease?
Oh, I don't know. I usually I like doing like wounds and stuff. Find that pretty fun.
Are you because I've got a lot of friends that are nurses or work in medical. There's always one nurse who kind of really loves the disgusting stuff. And so if there's like a particularly, I don't want to freak our listeners out, but there's a particularly gross wound, they're like, I don't want to deal with that. Nell, you'll love this. And then they get into the colour and the how it all happened. Are you that one?
To a point. There is definitely a lot of things that still really gross me out, but something so like satisfying about like dressing someone's wound. It's like arts and craft on the body. You've got to be very precise, measure everything up. It's quite. I like nursing as a whole anyway, because like no day is the same, and you like your interactions with people, and every day you come, you just have no idea what to expect, and it definitely like expands my mindset and helps me grow as a person, like interacting with people that I wouldn't usually. It's a good job.
Yeah, I don't know if this is in your horizon, but I recently became a father for the first time, and
incredible!
5.5 months in basically now, and one of the things that was just absolutely abundantly clear was just how good the midwives were. So we were at the Royal Melbournes, and it was just insane. And then the follow-up that we had afterwards, and you almost like pinch yourself and you're like, geez, I'm probably going to get a big bill for this at some stage, and you realise that it's public health system and you're like, this is crazy.
Yeah. It's so wild.
It was really eye-opening for me. I mean, I've been around nurses a lot since I was younger, a lot of people who I went to school with and family friends, but specifically the midwives, they made a very big impression on Anna and I.
Yeah, I think it's so epic that I always think that I can't believe this is all for free. It's just like, it's a pretty incredible system that we have here. And I get private sometimes, but I'm a public person through and through.
That's good because you play for the Bulldogs.
Public everything, yeah. Yeah.
All right, Tianu's got a great question. Who's your favourite teammate to play with, and what's the funniest thing you've heard on the footy field?
Oh, my definitely favourite teammates to play with is Ellie Blackburn and Kirsty Lamb, just because like they're those like teammates you have, and like you see them going for the ball and you're like, we're sorted, and like kind of like their presence on the field like makes everything feel okay. I just feel like I have so much trust in them as players and leaders, and it just makes me feel like it's probably the first leader I've had with Ellie that I actually feel like inspired by her leadership. And just as players, like, especially as a forward and them driving out of the midfield, it's like I feel like without them it's like quite stressful. So definitely my favourite teammates. Funniest thing I've heard on the ground, oh God, I don't know. I feel like there can be some pretty funny personal sledges in the AFLW because
I love it. Please.
Because everyone like knows each other, and you obviously like word gets around and there's a lot of like funny gossip throughout it. So I think that's kind of, I can't think of any particular ones, but I think there can be some pretty funny sledges there. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it would have been a very interesting place over the last 3 or 4 years when, a lot of you probably have played against each other, know each other perhaps much more intimately than say that I experienced playing in the men's stuff. So I feel like some of those like funny sledges would go like wildfire amongst the WhatsApp groups of the world.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And obviously like coming into it, being friends with, like, obviously you come into certain games, playing certain teams, like knowing things you can say to specific players. But actually, which is really fun. Like obviously, and I don't know, I feel like because there's a bit more crossover between teams, you get a bit of like word from players who have come from certain teams. It's like pretty fun.
There's just a dossier that goes around of all of like the sledges required. And share it team to week, and then it ends up that you've got some stuff in there too, and you're like, damn it.
Yeah, and because often like after the season we'll go out together with like people from different teams.
Yeah.
So it just builds up.
Is that going to change? Do you think? So we got 8. The way we spoke about it with Kate was, like it feels like the last 5 years have been like sprinting to the start line. Now we've got the full spectrum of the competition. We've got 18 teams ready to go. Do you reckon like from now on there's going to be 1, less player movement, but 2, it's like we're going to be like, sort of more siloed off in the different teams?
Yeah, I definitely think this. I've been thinking about it the past few weeks. Just because obviously like at the start I had a very tight knit. Obviously a lot of the key players who were marquees at the start played at certain clubs like Darebin or think clubs like that together. And then when they split off, they kind of dispersed throughout teams, but they would probably drive the mingling between teams, and then everyone would become friends, and then there's just so many links throughout it. But I think now with teams like Hawthorn and Essendon, like we don't know like over half the players, and it kind of will start to lose that. And as those older marquee players kind of phase out, I think those like connections and mingling will probably phase out with that a little bit. So I think it'll be a pretty interesting transition to see. It'll probably become more like the men's competition, which is a bit bittersweet because it's fun the way it is, but it's probably will do good things for the comp in the same time.
Yeah, I think it feels like it's getting more serious, but at the same time, like there's a very special thing. Again, not to keep referencing the chat we had with Katie, but she was like, AFLW is its own thing. It's not the exact same thing as the men's game. It's got completely different sort of community feel. Danny always talks about he has to bite his tongue at the games to make sure he's cheering appropriately because it's a family event. It's a community feeling. You've got all the different food trucks at Whitten Oval when we haven't excavated the whole thing. It'll be interesting to see how that balance prevails because it will get more serious with the less connections from team to team, just at least in my experience.
More rivalries probably.
Yeah, exactly. And the teams will be more consistent because players won't be moving so much because, as you know, and I'm sure you will know far more than me, a marquee player moving clubs is just quite disruptive because it obviously is, sort of the face of the team and then they're playing for the opposition. It can be quite confusing for fans, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Gail wants to know, what's your warm-up song?
Ooh.
Oh, It's been a bit random this season, but last season I was into like a lot of disco, like because
Nothing wrong with that. No judgment.
I don't really. It's like the girls have some pretty questionable pre-game tunes that I'm just like I don't get around. I was like, what came on the other day? High School Musical. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, fuck, like how am I meant to get G for a game? Like, no way. So I usually bring my own headphones.
I don't know High School Musical that well, but isn't one of the songs called "Get Your Head in the Game"?
Yeah, but it wasn't even that one. It was like a sad, like breaking. Oh yeah, not good.
Okay.
That's
yeah.
No. Voidy knows it. It's your generation. I get it. I get it. That's right. Do you know my kids? The only real music that plays at my wife takes the Eurovision Song Contest ridiculously seriously. Like she watches that the way I watch footy finals, and all she really cares about is Ukraine has to score more than Russia.
Yeah.
And so, but for this year, my kids' Auskick Psych Up song was Norway's entry, which was it was called "Before the Wolf Eats My Grandma, Give the Wolf a Banana." It's an absolute banger.
Wouldn't be surprised if it came on in our rooms. But yeah, I kind of just like listen to my own music. It really varies. Sometimes like, some old disco music, or I don't really know, just chops and changes, but none of that like. Yeah, but also not too hard techno. It's got to have a bit of like Kate Renata, you know him?
No. But
anyway, yeah. Mix and
I'm
match a bit
27
there.
going on 50, so.
Okay, yeah.
Now I look at all the AFL players, men and women, and just go, I assume they listen to the Wiggles.
Oh, some Dojo Cat's always good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard of
I know that
them.
one.
Yeah.
Doja Cat.
Barry, Barry Webster, absolute legend of the Dogs fan. Do you still ride your skateboard?
Yeah, I do, but not in season. I feel like the first year was like definitely the hardest. I was like just going nuts, like not being able to do it. But I feel like now that I've kind of matured a bit more, and also like the load that footy takes out of you, like you would know, is like ridiculous, and I almost don't even have the energy to do it. I do really miss it, but I can do it in the off season.
Where do you skate? Are you down at outside Northcote Plaza?
Yeah, or Fitzroy. They've just had their new development, which is so
bowl,
annoying because I can't skate it, but they've just redone it all there. I love skating. It's
She's
like
answered that question before. Do you skate during the season? No. No, we'd never do that. And I had plenty of energy to go surfing when I wasn't supposed to when I was playing footy. It was too good for the head,
Yeah, exactly. I feel like when I wasn't getting picked consistently, I was like, fuck it. And I was just like, I was going all the time. But then I was like, now that I like have a spot in the team and everything, it's like I want to actually, like, I think I'd hate myself so much if I injured myself at the skate park and missed the whole season.
Yeah.
I would just be like spewing.
This is good for me. I'm going to set up a Northcote tour of AFL of sites, because do you know who owns the fish and chip shop right near the Northcote skate bowl?
Who?
Ange Christou, premiership player for Carlton, 95.
Oh, the new one across the...
Yeah, True North.
Oh.
He owns that.
Does he give discounts, does he?
Not to Bulldogs players.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, good potato cakes.
Not after this year. Again, in the
True.
men's when the Bulldogs get in by a point.
Yep.
There's a question here from David about who had the most influence on you at Darebin Falcons. Were you at the Falcons?
I was there briefly.
Yeah. Well, I'll ask the question. Who had the most influence on you?
Yeah, there was like, I think I was like probably the last season of when there was like AFLW girls coming back from like their teams like Melbourne and Carlton to play there. I think after I left, it stopped being allowed. I think having a few, there was like Loz Pearce plays for Melbourne, like a great ruck there, and Elise O'Day, one of Carlton's midfielders. I think they were probably a pretty big influence on me there, just kind of like seeing them come down. I don't know, it was like pretty interesting to see girls from like AFLW come back to that club, just for loyalty and like for the love of it. So working with them was really interesting. Obviously, just about to go into that system, that was kind of like nice to have them there. And then just some of like the local girls who had been there forever, that was almost the funnest part, because they were just like, they just loved it, and it kind of made, I wanted to go there instead of feeding into an AFL club straight away, because I thought, just keep it local while I can.
Keep it fun.
Exactly.
This you may not know the answer to this, but it just occurred to me then. Why did Darebin end up being just the place to play in Victoria for the W side of things?
I'm not really sure. I think originally they had some key players like Daisy Pearce and everything, and she kind of like would bring a lot of people along to the club. Right. And I think then it kind of just like spread through word of mouth. And in the north side, they were like the best team, and it kind of just attracted a lot of people. Because obviously you had like, I think it was what's the one out near Diamond Creek? They were also good, but that was like for that area. So I think they were like the two teams, and people kind of congregated there because they knew that was where the talent was.
Interesting.
Yeah, for my niece is at Darebin now, so us inner city types. So the Falcons was
where it is. Yeah,
I was so disappointed I could never play for them.
Well, I mean, they were very. It's interesting because they were very good at basketball growing up too. So the Diamond Valley, Diamond Creek, Darebin
they were
team.
good. Yeah,
I mean, it's just interesting because it's obviously not close to the city particularly, but it's interesting that like one club just ended up being basically the football factory almost to kickstart the AFLW competition in a sense.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if they can stay alive now. Because obviously they're the only team without, like the cost is crazy, and obviously their talent is like, it'd be way harder to get.
Oh, it'd be impossible pretty much. There's 18 teams. Like, where are they going to come from?
So it'll be interesting to see. They'll definitely be able to stay alive as a local club, but as VFL, obviously with no one being able to feed back into them anymore, it'll be pretty tough.
Might be the Port Melbourne equivalent.
Yeah. Us rusted on Darebin fans will still be there.
Well, and that's the weirdest thing. Like when you go watch Port Melbourne and you play against them, you're still getting heckled by people who've supported only that club for like 80 years. And you're like, there's AFL teams. No, we only support Port Melbourne. Now, look, they've been through their sense of challenges, but still like a stalwart part of VFL footy. So it'll be interesting to see how they go.
Yeah, it will be, yeah.
Ness, who's in the Bulldogs cheer squad, who is absolutely awesome, just says to tell you you're a legend. So
I do like
thank
it.
you,
Do know her. Yeah, thank you.
Ness, you are a legend as well. Hey, Gabby Newton has been as good as we all hoped this year,
incredible.
even better. I managed to speak to her after you beat Freo at Icon Park.
Yep.
And I told her our nickname, Boydie, that one of the listeners suggests, because we lost Bonnie Too Good.
Yes,
We're now going to call her Gabby Even Better.
Oh, good one. Yeah,
and she was quite stoked with that. So please, Danny Boyd Army, do get behind and call her. Can you start calling her Gabby even better?
Yeah, I'll bring it into the club tonight.
Thank you.
It's shocking, but this is a segue for Danny to really reveal his own new nickname for you.
Yes. Do you have a nickname at the club?
Oh, Nelly Fish, randomly. That's because Ellie's like a huge Neighbours fan, and she will always tell you she was on an episode acting herself.
Really?
From the Bulldogs. She will like recite it to us all the time. Anyway, apparently a key Neighbours actor is called Nelly Fish, and then she started calling me that, and then everyone started calling me, but didn't know why, and then it just kind of stuck. So it's like the Fish or Nelly Fish.
I like that, but I got a better one for you.
It's not inspirational. The Fish, is it?
Yeah, it's pretty random.
Nah, you're a tough player, and one of the biggest things that the AFL is always about is Fight MND. You've got the great initials, Fight MND. We're just going to call you Fight.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
You get the ball. Fight.
NMD, MND.
It's either that or freeze. Because when they do the big ice bucket challenge to raise money. Yeah.
What do you prefer, Fight or Freeze?
Probably Freeze is better, I reckon.
All right, Freezer.
One of the most offensive nicknames is calling someone fridge. So it's always like this guy who's, well, at least in my history, has never particularly had a lot going on upstairs. So freezer maybe is like the fancy fridge.
Yeah.
We'll call you Freeze.
Yeah, good luck with it taking off.
Oh well, hey, we got listeners.
Big platform.
Fight or Freeze. You guys can, you folks can choose, whatever you're comfortable with. All right. So my favourite part of this interview is when I said I'm looking at Dynasty, and your eyes told me you agree. Where do you dream of your role being in? So grand final day, we're smashing Brisbane at the MCG. How are you going to kick the winning goal? Even though we're smashing them, it's still a winning goal. It's a weird fantasy.
Yeah, I always practice this one after training. I always do. I want a banana, like a good one. Like I love those kicks. It's so satisfying and fun and like quite easy. So I feel like that would be the winning goal. Like at training.
Which end are we talking at the MCG?
Oh God, I don't know.
City
I'd
end,
never
punt
go
road
there.
end. Yeah, that's a rubbish
City end,
ground.
sure.
City end.
Make it up. I don't know. That's better.
Oh no, Boydie kicked at the punt road end.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
All your goals were at that end, weren't they?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, that's good.
Maybe
We got the
punt
Boyd
road,
end, and we got the NMD end.
Make some history down the other side, yeah. But I love kicking, practice kicking game winners and just go crazy at training. But I feel like the moment when it comes, oh God, I can do it.
Well, don't listen to anyone to tell you not to practice snaps and kicks from the boundary.
No, you got to.
Eventually, you'll need them.
It'll come.
Eddie Betts was one of the best at it. He practiced them all the time, and he kicked them all the time in a game. So don't listen to the coaches. Practice the easy ones. Well, mate, I'll practice both. So just so you know,
we're going to be cheering this Friday at Punt Road Oval for you to go a banana.
Yeah,
you are playing, yeah.
Yeah,
Otherwise-
hopefully. Oh, God, we'd hope so,
I'm not
Nathan.
going to ring Berkey and
I'll find it tomorrow. I think I did pretty well on the weekend. So
Yeah, you did.
yeah, it obviously sucks not being in the team, but you just got to work your way back in and give them no reason to not pick you. And I did that with Nathan. Me and Nathan have a bit of a love-hate relationship, mostly love. But obviously when you're not getting picked, it's like super hard. But I'm glad to be back, and hopefully I stay in. I always want to kick goal of the year so I can go to the Brownlow and win 20K. That's the aim.
That is great. Well, this is filling me with so much confidence that my dynasty fantasy is going to come true. I'll see you on Friday. I think Boydie's got some corporate luncheon thing, so I don't think you're going. But
I'm going to Williamstown to support the West.
Oh, good on you. Well, I'm representing the North.
Yeah, give them back to the people that don't want it.
Representing the North side for you and me.
I was going to say North Melbourne. That's a bit touchy.
Oh, no, we're playing against North Melbourne.
We are, yeah.
No. North Melbourne geographically is actually in the West. They're not even North. It offends me as a Northcote boy.
That's true.
Yeah,
I
we're
see
directly North.
Yeah.
They're also no good, so it's all good.
The women are
Colts,
okay.
aren't they? I don't know what goes in or out of the doors at Arden Street.
No, it's a bit strange.
Never know.
Well, I think we're both probably too young for it. I mean, North Melbourne, at least in the men's, created a very big sort of following in the 90s. Right?
Yeah.
we
remember
missed it.
dreading playing them.
Whereas, I've never really... Well, I've seen them good, but I've never seen them, enjoyable to watch, because when Brad Scott was there, they played, the most slow, boring, down-the-line, kick-it-long style, so no one really cared. And then now they don't play any style particularly.
I know, it'll be interesting to see what Alistair,
whatever his name the mad scientist Clarko he'll get a few vials, probably a few hundred vials of things together and chuck it together, and hopefully they turn out to be good next year. But I reckon the reason they gave him 5 years is because they need 5 years to be decent.
Yeah. Final question: who are you going to go for in the men's grand final this weekend? Boydie's going for Sydney. You're going for Geelong.
Because my housemate's brother is Tom Atkins, so and I love Tom. He's a great. I don't really connect with a lot of the AFL men's players. Sorry.
X.
Yeah, X player there. Yeah, very X.
Very X.
But I feel like Tom is just such a great person and good representation of men's footy. He's not, but I think he's just a great product of it, and I really like him. So Geelong all the way. Yeah.
All right. Well,
a bit boring though. I was hoping there'd be a Melbourne team.
Yeah,
like Carlton would have, or Bulldogs, but
you have to go for us.
Obviously Bulldogs, but I've just always think imagine Carlton streets if Carlton won.
Well,
that'd be a sight.
Collingwood making it, as much as I don't like Collingwood, it's always they're big finals when Collingwood plays.
Yeah,
they
totally.
do turn up.
Yeah,
and it does feel like the other thing is neither Geelong or Sydney really need one. 2011, 2012. It's only been 11 years. Grow up,
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah,
but I don't want St Kilda to win either. So it's it does. I can't win unless the Bulldogs win. I can't win.
Yeah, exactly. Oh well, the Bulldogs are going to win the flag this year. When is the grand final? It's November.
Oh, I've actually got this whole season changes
1 week at a time.
Me.
Yeah,
I've got no clue.
We got 1 week at a time. That's a good idea. I'm getting ahead of myself.
North Melbourne this week.
Thank you so much for coming on. Go Dogs.
No worries. Thank you.
Today's episode was proudly brought to you by 8 Star Energy, creating energy for the future and power you can count on.
Follow them on Facebook. 8 Star Energy.
I gave my childhood to that role of the red, white and blue sea, and the knowledge that you had two loves, the Bulldog boys and me. 20 years on, I feel that longing hanging in September air. But the reason I go every week is to pretend you're still there, and they will find the glory one day, and I will throw it at your feet. It's a long, long road they're running for you, the dogs of Footscray streets. It's a long, long road they're running for you, the dogs of Footscray streets.